don't worry.
Okay, but by sure, the first thing is to retake the concept of Slavka that is based on a thank you. This is what we did all together, and it's true that we really set up a new connection and a lot of new ideas. What I can say about Politecnico in particular, okay, my personal feeling is more than fantastic, but in terms of fantastico, yes, it is. So, but talking about what Politecnico earned from this project and the outcomes for Politecnico are direct. Okay, this course was mentioned many times, and so it's really a first international course that we want to set up in the PhD school in Politecnico di Torino. But also, for example, the course of CAD for microsystem now, we organize it thanks to your teaching. I learned this from you, this flip possibility of flipping the classroom. So we already did it in the last semester. This new approach in teaching, and the students, they were very, very happy about it. I received fantastic comments from them. That, the idea of a flipped classroom for a course in CAD tools, where you have to learn the tools, of course you need theory. You need to understand, for example, in that case, the finite element methods. But when you do a theoretical introduction to FEM, you don't need it to do it in a classroom because people are listening, you show up slides, you show up the concepts. It's better that they do this at home. And they come to Politecnico for doing, for making things, for doing the exercises. And this was one thing that the students really appreciated, because I left them in the first 2 weeks at home for working and studying alone, following their own, feelings. And then coming to Politecnico for discussing with me, with my guys, and also for doing as much as possible exercises together. And the end of this course was a project, a tutorial based on, we use COMSOL in that case. It was the main tool that we use inside the course, and they really appreciate this, the possibility to stay at home, studying for the theoretical aspects and coming in the classroom just for working together, because we really prepared the tutorials, their projects together. And this was fantastic. Of course, you cannot do it for every type of course, but the ones who are very much focused on practice, this is the best way of doing things. And so this was one fantastic result. And then what I can say about the project, it is the exchange of students. It was already a very, very good experience in the other projects, but I want to highlight the fact that in Erasmus project, we do not have to leave out the exchange of students, because the exchange of students is an enrichment of our cooperation. I see always the students more than happy for the experience, and also you really set up the strong links with them, because they invite you, you invite the professors. So, and also I'm talking of students, but of course we have to talk also of professors. We had Shachar Richter coming to Politecnico for teaching, and Shachar met some of my colleagues. So are also opportunities for going further to not just on education, but also on research. So these are my main points that in which really Politecnico thank you for the cooperation we had together.
Thank you. Well, as far as the CIME nanotech is concerned, I would join you and also mention that the exchange of students is really a very strong enrichment for us. And this is something which should, go on and go on. And well, then I would say it was also not fantastical. I wouldn't say so. I would say extraordinary, but it was also a great experience. It's also a very strong motivation for us to get both students and teachers in our labs, because it shows where the weak points are and where we have to work on to get better. So from this point of view, it's always a very good opportunity for us to get better and better, to improve and, to get stronger. And I would say it was a very good experience for us, and at least from my own point of view. And it's, students from all over the world do not behave the same way in a clean room. And it is also a good thing to know that these students that we had within this project were among the best that we have ever had in our clean room. So thank you for this. And I hope that we can keep in touch and that, we can do things together in the future.
Also a small word on teachers that they come in December.
I'm sorry.
For the teachers in December also.
Yeah, same whether the students were teachers or students, Okay. Here you go. I was a little bit shorter than you.
No, I'm Italian, bit tall.
Yeah, that's right. You have a point.
I will try to be even more.
Oh, you don't have to.
Okay, so most of you don't know me. So my name is Edith. I'm a PhD candidate in Tel Aviv University. I come from Professor Shachar Richter's group, which he is a part of Idionano. Him, I assume you all know. So I came here to give a representative point of view as a student participating with the Idionano scholarship in the workshop, the molecular electronic workshop that was held last summer in Politecnico de Torino. I was in the first group. It was a great experience for me. I cannot say for the other students. I assume it was good for them as well. There were two nice things about it. Not only learning new material, which is always nice, but also meeting new people. Mostly Israelis, because only Israeli students participated in the workshop. But so it did help in two aspects. Maybe starting new collaborations with Israeli groups or with groups from Politecnico, and of course studying new topics in molecular electronics, which is the topic of my PhD thesis. The second thing, last year also, I think it was Ron, actually Idionano gave us the opportunity, the MRS student chapter in Tel Aviv University, the opportunity to exhibit our work, and I wanted to thank you for allowing us to do it. So thank you for letting me be a part of this meeting and learning new things about nanoeducation. I think, yeah.
Okay, so I guess I can talk for a long time now. Basically, so I think the Weizmann is an interesting example here because we had two courses. One was Ron's, which was dedicated for high school teachers. So it's a very special group. And we had my course, which was geared for graduate students, which is a very different population. And they both show the strengths and maybe some of the unique characters of this kind of learning. The other thing we had is the administrative part, because we worked very hard to allow a course to be taken by Weizmann students, which was given from Tel Aviv, the course of Shachar. And that was an interesting thing in of itself, because when we went to the administration, and because Weizmann, as a graduate institute, people who know in graduate schools, the teaching is a very minimal part. I mean, the main thing, the students are there to do the research, That's what interests them. They take a course either because they have to, or maybe it might help them in their research, whether or not. Their advisor maybe really don't care whether they take the course or not. Okay, so what we found, in fact, that the dean of the graduate school and, in my case, the head of studies for chemistry were quite receptive. At the Weizmann, they allow and encourage students to take one online course per year, each student. So they can choose from Coursera, they could choose from this one, whatever they wanted. Their only request is that I take full responsibility for all the administrative part at the Weizmann. That is to make sure registered, helping the students who had troubles, accessing things, to see that the grades were assigned properly, and also to do some adjustment. For instance, in Weizmann, we have very strict rules about what numerical score we can give for a grade. Okay, they don't want everybody to get 99 because then you have no way to distinguish between students. So it turned out the average grade they got from this course was really significantly higher than what you're supposed to have at the Weizmann, and then you have to make some. So we just basically scaled everything down in order to make it fall within our thing. But this is something which needed to be done in order. So there's some adjustment we need to do. We don't have, mentioned earlier in the opening session something about the ECTS. The Weizmann does not go by the ECTS, but still, because it was a course, we were able to assign, based on the number of hours, whatever projects, we were able to assign a certain number of credit points for this course. And then the other part was actually the logistics, okay? So they saw lectures. They could see them, as people pointed out, convenient whenever they wanted, from the convenience of their own home. But there was homework and there was a project which they had to give. And this project involved them giving a short, maybe 10-minute presentation, which the instructor of the course had to view and grade. So the students said, look, there's 16 of us and only one of him. He can just come from Tel Aviv to here. We said, no, this is not the idea of the course. The idea is that not that necessarily you're going to be sitting in Rehovot and the instructor in Tel Aviv. You could be sitting in Torino or in Grenoble or anywhere else, and the instructor from somewhere else in the world. We have to do this electronically. So we figured out a way to set up a Skype window so they could give this directly. Shachar sat one afternoon and went through this whole marathon of 16 students, each giving their presentation, and that was it, and it worked fine in that respect. As for the courses, I think most has already been said. I can give some personal reflections on that. And what I found, here is that, okay, here I'm talking, okay, and I can look at people, and this is what I'm used to. I'm used to, when I give a lecture to a class, to look and see people, okay. Half of the people are asleep. I know, you've got to do something, right? Or if you see everyone kind of looking at you, cross-eyed, like, what is this concept? Then you drop the presentation, you go to the board, and you ask questions or whatever, okay? So, of course, we can't do this. And I remember my first few presentations I prepared were just terrible. I went and looked at them. I said, boy, I'm bored looking at this, because I'm not used to talking to a computer. I'm used to talking to people, and that makes you also be a little bit more lively. So you have to really learn. It's a whole new paradigm, It's not just taking your same lecture you've always been giving and going and recording it. It's thinking about things in a very different way. Now, Ron, because she was teaching teachers. So the teachers are from all over. If you look at the map and the presentation, all over Israel. They couldn't be coming in, although there were a few sessions where they did come into the Weizmann. But she had to make sure that there was some sort of interaction. For me, I was teaching also to students which were coming in and sitting in courses. But for Ron, so there were 3 different electronic means that she used. One was to set up a Moodle forum. The other was a Facebook page. And the other was an application called a Padlet where you can upload all sorts of just content. And it can be mobile, it can be whatever. And, people are very facile with this. And I think, we talked about, the problem. When people are viewing these sorts of things, they lose attention, they this or they that, okay? I remember, when mobile phones first started coming out, and I was shocked when there's actually a student sitting in my course was answering a text message or something during a course, and now if nobody's doing that, you're shocked, what's going on, maybe the network is down or something, So I'm just thinking, like to have, for my youngest son, sort of his undivided attention means the phone is on silent and he only answers text messages, okay, during a conversation, okay, that's the way things go these days. There's nothing you can do about that, okay, because that's the way things are going. So we have to somehow adjust ourselves to this paradigm to be able to talk to the students in a way that they're used to being spoken to, and to teach them in ways that they're interested in. You can go, for instance, to the internet, okay, for anything. You know, we didn't grow up that way. We grew up, you had to go to the library, you had to look in books, whatever. But now, anyone, including I would guess most of us, if we have a question, we first go and search the internet and try and see what's known about this, okay? So then the question is, so what added content do we have in our courses? If anyway you can learn anything you want on the internet, okay? So you have to think about certain things, certain interactions which you can have. So I mentioned, you know, Ron can interact with her students in a certain way, which you don't have interactively when you're just looking up a question on the internet. You can have email questions or whatever. But you still, you know, have to find ways. I mean, like I said, there's a difference between a graduate student, an undergraduate, a high school teacher. Part of the interaction on the graduate level is you want to meet new students. The students want to meet, you know, the investigators and see maybe they're going to want to do research with them. Maybe they want to do a PhD or whatever with them. So there are certain functions which you have to figure out how you can fulfill within this framework, which wouldn't occur in other way. And I mean, I could go on and on, you know, on this, because I found this Camtasia, setting it up for me was just a very interesting thing to see how this all works and how you can go. And then after a while, I said the first few presentations were terrible. I don't know if the last ones were any better in terms of teaching, but, you know, I learned to add in, you know, little, we went, Ron and I were both at a National Science Foundation workshop on nanoeducation. And, you know, you learn a lot in all of these things. And one of the things I learned there, someone said, is attention spans are 10 minutes. You cannot have a clip, a video clip, which is more than, you know, 10 minutes, preferably even less, maybe 8 minutes, because after that, you know, people have lost you completely. So what do? You know, if you want to give, like if you're doing a lab room talk, okay, it's going to be, so you have to break it up. We put in Camtasia, you have a very nice thing where you can put in quizzes. So you can break it, put in a quiz. You can even break, sometimes I just put some interlude slide, a little music. They can go as a sign to go get coffee, you know, get a drink, you know, whatever, come back. Something to break it up, because otherwise you're going to lose the attention span. So there are many things that I think we learn. I mean, and this I talked with Jack this morning. What was very beneficial for me in a few ways. One is when I was teaching just in a frontal situation, I didn't have the self-criticism that I had in this. Now, each time I recorded a clip, I had to go over, edit it, add in zooms, whatever, and at the same time I was looking at what I was saying and saying, you know, maybe is this a good way to present it or not? And these are things that you don't have otherwise. So it helps us just as lecturers to improve the way we present, which I think is a very strong thing. And then on a personal note, of course, I want to thank all of you. It's been really great experience to meet people here who are dedicated for education and put so much into this project. Slavka, of course, Jack, you know, all of us here, even those who aren't here. And we'll see how we continue with this. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Lauren, you want to? So,
Just a small comment maybe on the practices, because I think it's one of the important things that we have to teach. Indeed, of course, e-learning it's a good thing because it's a complementary way to help the student to learn. But I think the practice it's the strong point when you educate someone, because without the practice you cannot go directly in the industry. You have everything to learn in practice. What you have to do, it's very, very important to do that. So I think we have to think how to manage the education of our students in terms of course, in terms of theory. Maybe the web is a good way maybe to improve the skills from this point of view. And also we have to move from the theory mostly to the practices. And so we have to think the complete curricula, the complete curricula, in order to be sure that, okay, we start maybe with the global and the general idea, and then we move slightly to the practices. And then after that, we can expect that they are available and ready to go to industry. And I think it's the goal. And we have to always to have in mind that the industry is the goal, because we teach for doing people able to work after their studies. That's what I want to mention. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, please. If someone else would like to take part in this discussion, please come on.
And without sitting on just we'll do it like that, okay? I want to add something. We took the opportunity in Ben Gurion University to record the course for high school student. Now, for high school student, you want to take the researcher to the school to explain what they do. So you can ask them to do that, but how many times each one of them would do that? It's impossible. So when you're recording a course like that, you can take each one of the of the researcher to the school many times, and you can duplicate it. And then you use this, as a teacher, you are no longer the source for knowledge, because as everybody here said, you push a button in the computer and the knowledge is there. So your part as a teacher is not to bring just the knowledge, is to challenge them based on this knowledge. So you keep in mind that they study, they do everything they need at home, and then they come to the class and they have the knowledge. Now, ask them questions, make them think about what they learned. So that's a different kind of teaching. And for high school student, without this kind of e-learning, it's impossible to do that. So that's a great opportunity. And I do like to thank the Tempus project for letting us and make it available for the high school student in Israel. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Hi, Yuval.
Hi. So, well, I was part of the program. I would say I didn't devote 100% of my time for that. But it was a great experience, and some of the issues were already raised before. First of all, it exposed me to a media that I only knew it from a distance. I mean, all this e-learning. So we all heard about it. So when you hear about it, you say, okay, I know it, but we don't. And it exposed me. It exposed me to many things that you learn sometimes by passing through. I mean, maybe it's not a lesson that you hear, but you get the message because you hear it from Danilo, from Slavko, from Ron, from whoever is giving it. I learned a lot, I must say. It's a great media for our students from the Nanotechnology Center. It was an amazing experience. Maybe Efrat or Yael can discuss about it. Yael went with a group to France, and the students loved it. And when we talk about dissemination, this is dissemination. It's not just a word flying in the air. And what the students are learning are in two different levels. They learn that nothing is the same when they go to a different culture. And the second thing they learned is that everything is the same. Okay? And there's no contradiction between these two messages. So they loved it, they learned a lot, it opened your mind. And it's not only to learn that you need a voltage of 600 volt in order for the machine to deliver the coating that it needs, but it also the way that things are working. And this framework, especially for people that are learning a subject, sometimes it's more important than the details. The details that they can learn, each system will have its own details. But to get the confidence that you can enter to a new subject, learn it, it's amazing. Okay, so that was one thing, and in this sense, I think that Edu Nano did great. And again, I know also, by the way, in our institute, the dissemination is also because for most of the people, most of the professors that are part of the Nanotechnology Center in Bar Ilan, that was the first time they were exposed to such a thing. For many of them, and we involved many of them, one of the courses that we saw that Amos Sharoni was part of, Introduction to Nanotechnology. So he was heading the course. He gave most of the lectures, but there were 6, 7 people that actually took part in the course. And for them, it was the first time they were exposed to e-learning. They only heard about it before. And of course, we hear about edX, we heard about Coursera, but if you ask the people, were you involved in a project, even for 5 minutes, I would say that even today, at the university level, 80%, 90% of the people will say no, never. So here, they did it. And now it comes with a lot of experience, a lot of feedback. I should mention also that I'm actually part of a committee of the Council of Higher Education here in Israel. There is a huge project that Israel is now running through the Malag, it's called, the Council for Higher Education, that's the name, which is called Digital Israel. As part of it, we already ran a series which are very, which are financed to a very high level, and there are already right now the first 20 courses which are being developed in all across sciences, in humanities as well as in sciences. The second call already went out to the people, and we already got the applications. It really works like a grant. I mean, there is an application, people are applying, a lot of money. I mean, they get a lot of money for every course, but the demand is extremely high. I mean, to be honest, the courses that we developed, they would not pass the level which is requested here. Some of the requirement, by the way, which may be a possibility for the Erasmus project right now, as an addition to the project, is to contact edX. What Israel did, they contacted edX. They actually signed an agreement with edX. edX has tons of experience. We found them, unlike Coursera, which are kind of very closed, have to pay a lot of money. edX are very open-minded. The experience that they have goes far beyond anything that I know. We have here actually we can meet them. We can meet those guys because we have a team of people here in Israel that became experts in e-learning. And it's a science. It's science. I bet that in 5-10 years from now, people will have first degree in e-learning all around the world. Because you have to learn it. What Sandy said is correct. I mean, if you go to an edX course, you see that maybe there are 10 lessons. Each lesson is divided to sections of 6 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that. And in between each 6 or 8 minutes, you have a kind of a quiz that you test yourself. Nobody is writing down. But whatever you do is registered by edX. And now you can't imagine how much feedback you can get from the people that are taking the course on the background. And you can get the course, as a constructor of the course, you can get this feedback and you can learn about your own work. Unbelievable. So there's a lot of technology which is involved. All those courses that I mentioned, by the way, except for the constructor, there must be a multimedia company that is acquainting the course. So it's done to a very high level. I'm not suggesting that each course should be done in such a way. I think that the tools that exist here are extremely nice for excellent courses. So that's one level. The second level that I also recommend at least to discuss it for the form of the next thing is really where is the course going to? Let's assume that the course is perfect, wonderful course. Now where is it going to? Are we planning that in the future a university will look like an office that is only spreading out multimedia courses, and then the students will come to take the exam? They maybe not have to come because there are being tools which are developed so that the exam can be done online and you can trust the system because there are all kinds of tools that are being under development right now. Is this the model? So I think it was already mentioned. I forgot who mentioned it, that Danilo, that I mean, they tested it and they found out that more people drop out from e-learning courses than from normal courses.
It is tested all over the world. There are distance education universities, the UNED, Spain, Open University of England.
Yeah.
The drop-off is very, very high, of course.
Right.
This
So,
is for working people. These are special universities. It's not our case.
right. So there are all kinds of models that are. Now, of course, that goes beyond the courses. I mean, the courses are extremely important to develop, no doubt. But once we have those blocks, now we can think about the next stage. I opened a discussion in Bar-Ilan University, the physics department. We go to, we have a huge project that we started running at the physics department in Bar-Ilan that we are planning to be fully e-learning within 5 years' time, which means all the syllabus of the physics department will be online. It doesn't mean to say that we are not going to give the teachings. Actually, that opens the question, how do you really perform the best possible course once you have the e-learning material, the syllabus online, and the teachers? How do you do that? So you mentioned, you called it a flipped course. There are hybrid courses, there are other names. It's a science. I recommend for the Erasmus to bring together some of the experts. For example, people from edX, they would love to join it. They would love to join such a meeting and to give a lecture or to a discussion and to teach some of the things with the experience that they have and to think how to build the modern university, and it's not only university, it's also high school for the future. So that's my recommendations and experience. Thank you.
So I want to add two things. One is general and one is personal. I will start with the general thing. I will not repeat things that were said before. I think that nowadays we all know, and there are also studies about that, that when you come to examine a system, a company, an educational system, a high educational system, a research system, you don't just add the knowledge of each component in the system. You don't test how much Danilo knows and Slavka, and you add it and you know this is the value of the system. There is something that is called the social capacity. And I think that in this project we actually built a very unique social capacity. I think that in the connection between all of us and the people that are not here, we created something new that was not there before. And I think maybe this is one of the unique results of our project. And I really see it. And I think also when students from different places study together an online course, we have the ability to build, if we know how to connect them together, a unique social capacity among the learners. And this is a general thing. And the personal thing that I wanted to say that I think for myself, I had this course, Introduction to Materials and Nanotechnology for Teachers. I gave it 4 times in class. Every other year I give it. But I think that without this project, I would never put so much energy and time, and I would not have this online course. And I'm really happy about the course that I have, because I don't know if you know that we are now giving it again, and again 50 teachers were registered to the new course. And for me, it's a huge achievement, and I know that I would never done that without the project. So I want to also to thank you for that. Thank you.
So let's bravo to all of us. Yeah. Oh.
Any final remarks?
So, not final. It will be maybe personal because, okay. When the project started, it was not easy because we didn't know each other. I have coordinated a lot of European projects, but I didn't know you, in fact. And you didn't know me. And at the beginning, I saw you. You wanted to know everything about to be safe, to be secure. And I felt like that there were some impediments or something like this. No, these were just the first steps to know each other. And then I would say maybe this is my best partnership that I have. So thank you. Thank you.
So we are going for a break now.
Yeah.
Are you going to say some words? Or?
No words other than it's my baby. I enjoyed very much taking part in this project. I spent endless hours and I enjoyed each hour that I worked for this project. And I'm happy with the outcomes of the project. For me, people using this project and even the innovative approach that courses can be taken across universities is definitely something that is quite pioneer, and doing something that not be done largely before gives me a lot of satisfaction. So no words. I'm excited and I'm very happy. Thank you very much.
And I want to add something.
Thank you. You supported very much me in the management of the project as a local Israeli coordinator, I would say, and all of us in recording, in teaching how to do the things. Thank you.
Actually, we helped to ourselves. I mean, all of us wanted this project, wanted the outcomes, and I hope we are all satisfied.
There were difficulties, but
We are not going to talk about them today. Yeah. So on behalf, I would like to take this opportunity and on behalf of at least the Israelis partners of this project to say big thank you to you, Slavka, and to Jack, because without you two and the hours upon hours you put in this project, it probably won't work. And to our European partner, Lorraine, which was brought to this project later on, but I think you feel like every one of us, right? Part of it. And to Danilo, which hosted us in Torino twice, and it was great. And we're looking forward for the next time. Through Edunano, without it, whatever, it doesn't matter. But okay.
He's already a family member, he's not a
yeah, I know the
consortium.
Baroque Hotel. We heard about it, yeah. So really, thank you, Jack and Slavka and Danilo and Lorraine. It was a great experience for all of us. And without you, it wouldn't work like that. So, kol hakavod.
So we will take a break before the next part of the day, working on the financial rules and
Yes, please.
coordination meeting
let's
of.
continue in order to finish before the big traffic.
Turn off.
Okay. How long